We've received quite a bit of interest in my free to be workshop. So to that effect, beneath this video is a link that will give you a description for the workshop. And we've also included a special discount. So if that's something you would be interested in, I would invite you to click that link, and I hope that you would find the course to be quite beneficial. I want to go into some difficult space with you here today. And let's begin by acknowledging that when you engage with narcissists, sometimes the patterns that they bring to the equation can become so problematic and so harsh and negative that it creates all sorts of stress and strain on the inside of you. And you realize, I don't think I'm going to be able to completely get out from under the impact that their problems have generated in my life. Now, you can wish like crazy that the problems generated by these narcissists will just go away. You want to be done with them. You want to be able to break free and have a cessation of any and all pain that's associated with these individuals. But sometimes the behavior coming from that narcissist can become so impactful that a negative direction is established for a long, long time, and you can and it can have lingering effects for months, years, decades, or even for the rest of your life. Sometimes the impact of a narcissist behavior can be that strong. Now, the reason I want to talk with you, I want to identify with you what I consider to be the top 5 problems that are created by narcissists. This is based on anecdotal evidence that's coming from my years of experience in the counseling office with people like yourself. I want to acknowledge, I know you're not making this up. And I want you to know that you're not alone in some of the strains and difficulties. And as you realize that there's a certain predictability, no matter how negative or awful it is, then at least you can walk away with your dignity intact, knowing that these are demented people who are trying to make your life miserable, but then they want to turn around and blame it on you. So I'm going to identify for you what I consider to be my top 5 problems that I see that are created by narcissists, and see if you can relate to any of these. Now, the first issue that I want to talk about is there are times when narcissists will alienate children from you. And the reason I lead off with that one is I see the whole problem of alienation. Sometimes it's parental alienation. Other times it's with grandparents that are being alienated. This is one of the most insidious patterns that I see coming from narcissists towards other individuals. What they do is they make their children innocent victims. They're willing to teach their children to hate the same people that they hate. And then part of the definition of this alienation, and actually we have a parental alienation, we can call it grandparent alienation or other as well, is the person being alienated has no particular reason to be alienated. There's a brainwashing that's going on between the narcissist and a child, and you have to really think hard and long and hard to think, why in the world would an adult narcissist think it's really a good idea to teach that child to hate, just like I hate? And it's really good for me to teach that child to be mean or rejecting towards people for no other reason than it validates me. That's so unhealthy. And here I've spoken with so many individuals who've had that particular issue, and they make attempts to re-engage with the child, and they're blocked because of that narcissist. And they come to me and they talk about, well, what do I do to make that narcissistic person stop? You know, they're the gatekeeper to the child. And the answer is sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes they have so much of that power position, and you're in a powerless position, that you're quite limited. And that's one of the biggest problems that I see that people have to come to terms with. We're going to be talking about some of your mindset as we get toward the latter part of this video. A second primary problem that I see that comes from narcissists toward other individuals. And that is when they create an atmosphere of rage, anger, and abuse. They can be very intimidating. They can be very belittling and invalidating. And I've spoken with many individuals who have been on the receiving end of months, years, decades of abusive behavior from someone. And as I talk with them, it becomes very apparent to me that this person in front of me has turned into a shell of who they really want to be. These individuals can be so accustomed to receiving all of the harsh and the mean and the negative input from that rageful and that abusive individual that they can emotionally collapse. Or sometimes what they do is they turn into an emotionally dysregulated person in the sense that they become very anxiety-ridden, or they try to throw anger right back at that abusive, narcissistic individual. And that's a pattern that I see that's quite common. Now, obviously, this can happen inside of marriages or extended families. This can happen inside of a work setting or even inside of organizations. As an example, I've talked with people who have been with groups of people, and there's a rejection if you don't think the same way, and there's this group rejection of you that can happen. That's a second pattern. A third problem that is very difficult to negotiate through is when you discover long-held secrets that the narcissist has maintained. I've had many cases where an individual is a very decent person, but they're connected with someone who's had long-standing affairs. Sometimes there's a love child that they discover, my husband has a 3-year-old, or something of that nature with someone else, and I had no idea. There can be a refusal to disclose money issues or investments. I've talked with individuals who wound up with huge tax problems because the narcissistic spouse has not done things in a due diligence kind of way. And these individuals can have zero accountability, and they keep you in the dark. And then when all the problems come, they step aside and hope that you can pick up the pieces after them. That's a pattern that I see that's very common. And it's awful because the implications can linger for a long time when you have those kinds of issues to have to deal with. A fourth primary problem that I see that comes from the narcissist, sometimes these individuals are very skilled at creating a groupthink atmosphere that leaves you feeling very other. Now, I want you to think about whether it's inside a family where you have a matriarch or a patriarch who more or less rules the family with an iron fist, and everybody has to go along with it. It can be a different organization. It can be work. It could be a religious group. It could be even a social setting or an organization that you're in. And these individuals can create flying monkeys or useful idiots who will do their bidding. And you're over there thinking, I don't go along with that. And I'm very different. I have different preferences or lifestyle priorities that I'd like to tend to. I've got my mannerisms that seem okay with me, but it doesn't fit inside the group norm. And so you wind up being shunned and shut down. And many times when you've been inside a group such as that, you can walk away thinking, I don't even know who I am anymore, or I can't afford to let people know who I am. And then a fifth strong problem that can be created by narcissists is what I would just refer to as a passive-aggressive punishing style of engagement. Many times, and of course coverts are especially known for this, but the overt narcissists can do this as well. Many times you can have these individuals who have all sorts of quiet ways of letting you know that you're held in contempt. They may withdraw any kind of love or affection or affirmation. They can sabotage you in efforts that you have to try to be true to yourself. They can block initiatives that you would have. They can hold up your plans. They can gaslight you like crazy, trying to keep you in a confused state. They can pull anger out of you with their frustrating behavior, and then they turn around and blame you for having anger. It's a mess, isn't it? Now, those are what I consider to be my top 5, and you may have some other patterns that you would want to add to the list, and I won't argue with you if you have some different ones that you would want to add. But let's acknowledge, these are miserable people. And in some strange twist of logic, these individuals feel like they're justified in creating misery in other individuals. I want you to think about that. What kind of person would do that? Take their own internal turmoil and then throw it onto other individuals, and they don't care that your life is miserable. And like I said at the beginning, and sometimes the solutions are not very good. Sometimes you want to do something in contrast to that, but they just keep coming at you, or the effects have been so strong that you have a long mountain to have to climb just to get back up to a place of normal. So let's take a look at a few thoughts about this as we wrap up today. First, there's kind of a twofold element here. You do want to be open to assertiveness where it's necessary. You want to, if you have to confront that person, be willing to do so. If you want to bring their negative behavior to the attention of other individuals for the purpose of seeking support from others, I would strongly encourage that where necessary, establishing boundaries. So be willing to have a certain amount of assertiveness and a forwardness about standing up for who you are and what your needs are. And then next, let's also acknowledge you're limited. There are times when all of the efforts in the world aren't going to change everything, or the damage is already done and you can't get out from under it, and you wind up aching. You have a grief that you just can't completely let go of. And it's very difficult to say, accept the fact that that's there. And yet that's what we're saying. It's going to be there, and you may walk, if you can call it this way, with a psychological limp for quite some time because of your exposure to that narcissist. That being the case, you want to have the least amount of interaction with that person. You want to drop your coulda, woulda, shoulda games with yourself about, well, if I'd have done this differently, or maybe if I'd have seen this earlier. Don't play that game with yourself. Like I say, many other individuals have gone through very similar things that you're going through, and you can't afford to take the blame and the shame that the narcissist would gladly place on your shoulders. And above all, I'm hoping that in the end, after you've been through all of this, you can still find ways to believe in yourself. Live into your sense of self-respect. Live into your trust in who you are. Live into what you know is right and appropriate. And if the narcissist wants to go along and push their misery on other individuals, I'm sorry that they're going to do that, but I'm hoping you can have the resolve that says, I'm not buying into their games anymore. So I think it's a matter of having a sense of honesty about what we're dealing with. Sometimes they're the problem that just keeps on giving, or even when you're away from them finally, the after effect can still be there. But I'm hoping that you turn your experiences into a resolve that says somebody in this world needs to be healthy, and I'm going to join that team. That's what I'm going to live into. Difficult subject. I hope that videos such as this will give you some good insight and awareness as to what you're dealing with. If you've not already done so, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button. There's a bell that will give you more notifications as more videos come up. I upload every Monday and Thursday. If you have a need for counseling, and topics such as this can prompt that thought, if you have someone in your area, I would encourage you to seek that out. If you don't have that as a possibility, then I would encourage you to go beneath. We have a sponsor that has online counseling with licensed professional counselors. And if you would be interested in that, we have a link that'll take you to that so that you can get the help that you deserve. In addition, we have a membership now. You can hit that join button, and we have an exclusive membership that will allow you to availability to question and answer feeds that Laura and I both have, and exclusive videos and things of that nature. And also, we have my free to be course that talks about finding yourself, and we also have some other courses that are in the works and we're going to be doing. We have other resources with my books like When Pleasing You is Killing Me, The Anger Trap, and other kind of resources down below. Know that I wanted to identify these 5 primary problems that are created by a narcissist, just to let you know you're not alone, unfortunately. But at the same time, there are individuals who would love you through this process, and I hope you can love yourself through this process of healing, and you can somehow, despite the impact of a narcissist, get to your place of steadiness and decency, which then allows you to have your moments of peace.